Here are some older romance novels. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now for today's video, it's actually a funny story because when I first set out on doing this video, I had a completely different idea for it. My challenge for myself was actually to pick out a couple of books that were printed in the early 2000s, not into 2010s, and I wanted to do an experiment of like whether I would like the writing back then and whether or not I would like the stories that are on my shelves. So the whole thing is kind of like biased already because I already have a lot of books that are printed in the early 2000s, and I actually really like books that are printed in the early 2000s. It reminds me a lot like the times when I was in high school and I would read older novels, and I would really enjoy them because they were my first forte into romance. I already knew I was gonna like them. It was just depending on which book I would actually like and which book which I wouldn't like. I had the whole idea planned out. I had my whole TBR planned out, and it was going to be a whole thing where it's going to be like Romance Reader Tries 2000s romance. But then I got lazy and I only ended up reading 2 books. One of them was kind of a reread, which I will show you in this video, and then the other one was a new to me read. So I decided to actually do a video where I'm going to be recommending some books that are printed in the early 2000s that I have read in the past that I really did enjoy. So because these books are printed so long ago, I feel like that it's going to be pretty hard for you guys to go buy these in stores, but definitely go check it out for the ebook versions. Or if you have like thrift shops, then definitely go pick it out and see, because I know in America there's a lot of online thrift shops where you can find older versions of books. So for the first book that I actually have to recommend is actually the first book that I read for my attempt at making that video, and this is actually a reread. This is Practice Makes Perfect by Julie James, and this is like kind of a legal romance. It's about 2 lawyers and they're enemies to lovers, and it's an office romance. I remember when I made my office enemies to lovers romance video, I had someone actually comment this book in the comments and recommended me to read, and I completely forgot about it, or I did remember it but I forgot about the plot line, so I didn't feel comfortable enough to recommend in that video. But I do feel comfortable now that I did a reread. So back then when I read this, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was completely engrossed in the story and I really liked the enemies to lovers aspect of it. My second reread that happened this month, same exact emotions, completely engrossed in the story, really wanted to sign myself up for law school and become a lawyer. This is about 2 people who are pitted against each other to make partner in the firm, and then in the legal world or in their firm, the idea is that if you don't make partner, then you kind of excuse yourself from the firm and then go find another job in a different firm. So they really do have their whole careers on the line so that they can get this like one coveted position. And then some mishaps happen along the way where they think that they are sabotaging each other, and there's a lot of pranking involved, and there's a lot of sassy remarks. The romance was hot and flirty, so definitely go check this one out if you guys haven't already. So the next book that I have to recommend is actually from an author that I literally collected all her books from on Amazon Marketplace and then forgot that I owned them, and then accidentally bought them again on eBay, and then afterwards I sold those books so I wouldn't have duplicates, so it's all fine. But Elaine Fox is definitely an author that you guys should check out on your thrift shops or on eBay, because I read Hot Stuff, which was like this book. This was just one book. It was just, I read one book and I had to read all her books, and then I read a second book of hers, but I'm only recommending Hot Stuff for now. But Hot Stuff was just that good. So Hot Stuff is about a journalist who doesn't believe in love at first sight. She thinks it's really silly and it's like a complete joke, and she's kind of like in a way where she doesn't believe love at all, and she doesn't think that love lasts or relationship lasts, and it's just a chemical reaction. She has these flirty and kind of like an enemies to lovers romance between herself and the guy at the coffee cart. So in like, I guess New York City, there's a lot of like coffee carts where they sell coffee on the street. So every morning before she goes to work, she would try to grab a cup of coffee, and then she would just start a debate with the coffee guy. And this is kind of like their romance. He believes in love at first sight. He believes in love. He thinks that love lasts. And this is kind of their romance where he's trying to convince her that, you know, she is capable of love and she is capable of loving someone else. So the next book that I have to recommend is actually from an author that kind of like wrote a few stories, but then she kind of disappeared. So it's kind of disappointing because I really like her books and I own most of them, or like I own all of them, but I don't want to read them yet because I know that once I finish reading them, then I have no new books from this author to read. So if you guys know the feeling, you guys know the feeling. So this book is called Satisfaction by Marianne Stillings, and do not be fooled by the very cute and colorful art of this book, because this one's kind of like a romantic suspense. So this one kind of follows a private eye, and he is an investigator slash he's like a detective slash bodyguard who is hired to kind of find out like the mystery behind what's happening on this Food Network TV show. And he's hired to protect the main host, who is this very gorgeous, outgoing, pretty girl, and she is just like, what is happening? You know, there's all these accidents on set, but she doesn't think that somebody's out to get her. He has a lot of caution, so he wants to protect her, and I just really like this one because of the mystery element to it. Now, I'm not that big of a fan of mystery sometimes, but when it's a little bit light and it's in the plot line and it's interesting and the twists are good, then obviously I love it. So the last book that I have to recommend to you guys is actually a book that I binge read in the middle of a snowstorm. So in Canada, snowstorms do happen, and I just remember the power going out, so that was really great. And I had to read this book with like a reading light that I just clipped on the top of my pages, and then I would just unclip and just keep reading. And it was that good to the point that I read all the way until like the middle of the night. And this book is called Talk Me Down by Victoria Dahl, and now this one is about a romance author. She is an erotic romance author, and she has a secret, like she has like a pen name, so like nobody knows who she is. So she moves into the small town to continue writing and like to have her like little home to write in, but people are very suspicious of her because they are not used to new people in town, especially the town sheriff slash cop, and he's keeping an eye out on her just in case she's causing trouble. And she does have like a few quirks here and there that does give her a lot of attention, and the town is talking about her, but this is the romance between her and the town sheriff. But then mysterious things start happening again. So if you guys really like a suspense element to your romance stories, definitely go check this one out, because this one had some incidents where she was in danger and he had to come and protect her. I really like the grand reveal as well, so it was a great book overall. And I do have all the books in this series, but I haven't read it all yet because, once again, if I finish it, then I finish it and there's none in the series afterwards. But anyways, that is it for my romance recommendations from the early 2000s. Hopefully you guys liked this video and found some books that you've never heard of before and that you want to grab and read. I think like my whole intention of these videos is to actually just show you books that nobody has ever really talked about and that nobody really talks about on BookTube. I find that BookTube and myself, I tend to talk about books that has come out in the recent 2 to 3 years or the current year, and it's always like fast fiction, and that's just like the publishing industry. But you know, these are gems and you should definitely go check them out and read them anyways. Until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.